You know, there's one word that could possibly describe Jon Cotner. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe fraud, deceit, blasphemy, disgrace, maybe even evil. Jon Cotner, you are a pimple on the ass of society and you're in need of busting. I mean, to come on and to say that you have knowledge of the Presley family and about Elvis himself is almost like Jim Jones saying, hey, no worries, the Kool-Aid is sweetened. Yeah, but it's still killed. You know, John, you talk about the Bible and you act like you know it, but the Bible says that Satan is the father of all lies. And we all know you love to lie, and most of all, I believe you love listening to yourself spew these lies. I mean, you believe them to be the truth. Maybe you suffer from diarrhea of the mouth and constipation of the brain. But, you know, come and think of it, if you did have a brain, it probably would swell to the size of a pea and roll out of your ear, and your sidekick, Sean Warren, will probably come running and frantically try to push it back in. But John, I know you have an inferiority complex, and it's fully justified. I guess because you're the one the coat hanger missed. And the truth be known, John, the man down the street almost where you grew up was almost your father, but the guy behind him had the correct change. And you know, just the other day I was looking at the picture that the internet had leaked of you, and I noticed, man, this guy has some strong arms, and I can understand why. I mean, you'd almost have to have it to pull yourself out of an abortion bucket. I mean, John, usually people with your limited physical appeal try to make up for it with an actual personality, and in your case, a fake one. I mean, come on, John, you're so fat and ugly that when you go camping, Bigfoot takes pictures of you. I mean, you're so ignorant in your life that when you saw a sign outside of a theater that said under 17 not admitted, you went home and got 16 of your friends. And you try to act so smart when you talk in a room, but I know you're not smart, because the other day when you and Sean Warren were walking by the YMCA, people heard you say, look, Sean, Macy's. You're not that well-versed, Mr. Cotner. I remember when you found out I was reading the literary works of Homer, you asked if I had anything by Bart. I mean, seriously, you're so dumb that if your brain were full of dynamite, you wouldn't have enough to blow your nose. In fact, I did some research, John, and I found out that when you went to Graceland, you did meet Vernon, but you didn't tell us what he said, and I found out. He said, John, if I were to give you a penny for your intelligence, you'd probably get change back. I mean, John, you are dumb. Really, like the time you took the number bus, instead of taking a number bus, you took the number 2 bus twice. And Sean Warren isn't so bright either. I mean, he's your sidekick after all, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I heard he sent you a fax with a stamp on it. Well, how about the time you and Sean Warren went sightseeing, and you said, hey, let's sell the camera so we can afford some film. But John, I understand before you even had a room on the internet, you thought the internet was something you used to catch fish with. And I know the time that you took the Pepsi challenge and you chose Jif. Real bright. As a child in the Boy Scouts, you were so dumb that you tried to wake up all the sleeping bags. You couldn't even earn your merit badges as a scout, John. Your scout leader told me that one time your fellow scout was drowning and he yelled at you for a lifesaver and you said, what flavor, grape or cherry? And you couldn't even get a date when you were growing up. What if your old girlfriends told me your breath was so bad that you had to take prescription Tic Tac? And when you were born, God took one look at you and said, hey, I'm going to have fun with this one. Now hold on. I'm trying to imagine you with a personality. Hold on. Well, there'd be a chance that you'd be less boring if I got to know you, but John, I'm not willing to take that chance. You're the best proof I've ever seen that reincarnation does occur. For surely no one can get dumb in just one lifetime. But before I heard you, John, before I heard of you, I was pro-life. I mean, you're living proof that nobody has to be a proctologist to see that you're an asshole. I mean, when you open your room, do you ever think about what you're going to say, or do you and Sean Warren sit back and celebrate the fact that you can even form a sentence? I mean, a guy with your IQ should have a low voice too. After all, all you owe to your parents, I mean, why don't you send them a penny and square the account? When Sean Warren told you to be yourself the other day, he couldn't have given you worse advice. You both are as useless as rubber lips on a woodpecker. Seriously, John, no one would even know that you had a lobotomy if you wore a wig to hide the scars and learned to control the slobbering. Oh, And they'll go crying that people say you're dumb. They didn't say you were dumb. They said you were 37 years old before you learned how to wave goodbye. But brains aren't everything. In fact, in your case, they're nothing. And Jon, I don't know if you know this, but people on PAL and YouTube say that you are the perfect idiot. I say that you're not perfect, but you're doing all right. I mean, the closest thing you'll ever come to a brainstorm, Jon, is a slight drizzle. And that twinkle in your eyes that those women talk about, well, that's actually the sun shining between your ears. And too bad stupidity isn't painful. And then I heard that you told your followers that you would go to the ends of the world for them, but the real question is, Jon, would you stay there? Yeah, I've been doing a lot of research, Jon, and I found out that your origins are so low that you have to limbo under your family tree. And when I look into your eyes, Jon, I see the back of your head. And Jon, you talked about how one day you want to be connected to law enforcement like Elvis. Well, your dream will be coming true one day. And you will be connected to law enforcement, but in your case, in handcuffs. And you're the kind of person who, when one meets first, they don't want to get to know you. They don't like you, but when they get to know you better, they hate you. And Jon, if your brains were rain, you'd be a desert. You used to be arrogant and obnoxious, Jon, but now you're the opposite. You're obnoxious and arrogant. And if manure were music, you'd be a brass band. I mean, there's as much chance of you being a great singer as me flying to the moon tomorrow for breakfast. And you singing a love song is like casting Tiny Tim as a Terminator. I mean, hell, you sing notes that haven't even been invented. If they heard you sing the way you do now 2,000 years ago, they would have stoned you to death. Your voice would make a great sleeping aid because there isn't anything that's more boring than that. So Cotner, when you look at me after this and say, screw you, I say, no, Cotner, screw you. It's cheaper. This message was brought to you by Captain Hippie.